Assalamu alaikum students, how are you? I hope all of you will be fine. Some of the students requested me to make a video on chapter number 7, that is relations and functions. So I have fulfilled my promise, and today I am going to share with you video on relations and functions. In this video I will explain chapter number 7, that what are relations and what are functions and what are their mutual relationships and what is the difference between a relation and function. So let's move towards the slides. Chapter number 7, that is relations and functions. So first of all, 7.1 topic, what is relations? So first of all, we have to study that what is the relation. An ordered pair is set of inputs and outputs and represents a relationship between the two values. A relation is a set of inputs and outputs, and a function is a relation with one output for each input. A relation is basically set of an inputs and outputs, means such type of inputs you may find the such type of outputs, but function is one output for one input. In relation there can be many outputs for one input or many inputs for one output, but a function is one output for one input. So consider an example. Let's suppose we input power key and volume down button, and output is screenshot. We press two buttons while we get one output, that is relation. So but if we touch on an app, and definitely that app will be opened. If you are using your smartphone, if you touch an app, then the corresponding app will be open. It means one input is for one output. So this is an real example of function. So examples of relations. Here is a example of relation, first of all in table, then in graph, and then in mapping diagram. Okay. So in this diagram you will show it will be seen that it can be seen that -2 is let's suppose x is input, y is output. -2 is same input but have two outputs, 1 and 3, and same as 0, 1 and 3 that are different inputs and have different outputs, but one is a output that have two inputs, -2 and 3. So -2 has a relation with 1 and 3, and 1 has relation with -2 and 3, or -2 and 3 are related to 1. So this is an example of relations. So types of relations, in this book D2 you are not supposed to go in details of these types, but I have just mentioned here for your knowledge. Different types of relations are as follows: empty relations, universal relations, identity relations, inverse relations, reflexive relations, symmetric relations, transitive relations. Your details of these relations is not in your syllabus, so I am not going to explain the types of these relations. So next, domain and range. So what is domain and range? All values of x in this relation are domain, and values of y range. So domain is -2, 0, 1 and 3, and range is 1, 3, 3 and 4. So which values are which are being repeated? Let's say -2 is being repeated in x and 1 is repeated in y. So repeating values will be written once only. So function. What is function? A function is relation which describes that there should be only one output for each input, or we can say that a special kind of relation, a set of ordered pairs which follow a rule. It means every x value should be associated to only one y value is called a function. Function is a relation in which one value is associated with only one value. So, let's difference between relation and function. A function makes sense, but necessarily not for relation. For example, a mother has 4 daughters as a relation and also a function, but a daughter has 4 mothers. That doesn't make sense. It can be a relation but not a function. So, every relation is a function, but every function is not necessary to be a relation. This diagram clearly shows that a relation is a broader concept, whereas function is a part of relation. So, types of functions: one-to-one function. What is one-to-one function? A function f that is a symbol of function. P to q is said to be one to one if for each element of P there is distinct element of Q. If there is a distinct element of Q for each element here, and I have taken a picture of x and y, and consider this example. For each value of x there is a distinct value of y. So, there is no repetition, means not two values of x are taken one value of y, or nor one value of x is being associated with the two values of y, or vice versa. So, one value of x is associated only with one value of y and distinct value of y. So, that is known as one-to-one relation. Second is many-to-one. Many-to-one function. Many-to-one function, two values from set A can be associated with one value of set B. That can be said that many-to-one function. So, onto function are surjective function. What is onto function? Onto functions mean if there are 4 values in x or A set and 3 values, as I have cleared in this picture, that so onto function is described that a function for which every element of Q there is pre-image in set P, means if set A and B. So, if there are 3 images or 4 images in B part, so every image is associated with the one image in 1 and 2 image in A. It means that there is no image left behind in B. So, I have explained it clearly that not surjective. Now, you feel the difference. Now, observe the difference. What is the difference between surjection and not surjection? The difference is in not surjection, one image is left behind unassociated. So, if there is one image left behind unassociated, that is can be many-to-one, that cannot be surjective or onto function. So, the difference between onto and many-to-one function is, in many-to-one function in B some image can be left behind, but in onto function no image is left behind. Okay. So, next, one and one and onto function are bijective function. Okay. Now, remind, in onto function we observed that two images of x can be associated with one image and y, and image of y cannot be left behind. And many-to-one we observed that two images of x can be associated with one image of y, but no image of some image of y can be left behind, and onto function no image can be left behind, and one and one function, that is type of one-to-one function, but no image from x and y should be left behind. If there are 4 images in x and 3 in y, and we associate 3 with 3 and one image is left behind in x, or there is 5 images in y and 3 images in x and one image is or 2 images left behind in y, then this type of is surjection and this type is injection. But when one image is x has only association with one and only one image of y, that is known as bijection. I hope you have clearly understand the concept of relation and function, and if you have any question, confusion or problem, you may contact on my WhatsApp, or you can comment under this video, and in next video I will inshallah explain the sums of exercise 7a. Thank you. Take care of yourself. Allah Hafiz.